Happy Africa Podcast Day, the latest from Podnews.net with critically acclaimed, highly addictive CBC podcasts. Sunday is Africa Podcast Day 2023. You can celebrate with digital graphics and use the hashtag Africa Podcast Day 2023 to tag those posts. And you can follow AfriPods on Twitter to watch a live stream with panels and advice all day. In addition, the Africa Media Festival is Tuesday and Wednesday in Nairobi. Speaking in the Pod News Weekly Review this week, Novel's founder, Sean Glynn, says that podcasting is in good shape even after the advertising downturn.
I think it's going to bounce back a lot quicker than what people are saying. I think recent economic output and data from the US is much more promising than what people would have thought. The obvious thing about there being fewer feeds, but listenership still going up regardless. And I don't think it's as dire as what some predict it could be.
You can hear that interview in full in the Pod News Weekly Review. You'll find it in the Fountain app and wherever you get your podcasts. About 20% of episodes in Steve Bannon's War Room podcast contain false, misleading or unsubstantiated statements, according to new research from the Brookings Institute. It was reported by the New York Times today. Axios is the latest to claim that podcasting is facing an identity crisis. Radio Days North America has announced its first set of speakers, including our editor James Cridland. The event is in Toronto and is in early June and part of Canadian Music Week. I'll see you there. Former TV late-night host Craig Ferguson is to do a podcast with iHeartMedia, it's been announced. Podtext is one of a slew of news services that searches within podcast transcripts and allows you to share clips. On Y Combinator, the author adds, "My employer will fire me if they ever find out about this project, so nobody go and tell them." And first-look deals emerge in podcasting, says Deadline, reporting that first-look deals, common in TV and film, are coming to podcasting, in a story about Campside Media signing 3 first-look deals. They're hardly new to our industry, though. Among others, Pod News has covered first-look deals between Sky and Tortoise, Audible and First Produce, SiriusXM and Audio Up, Kudos and What's the Story, UCP Media and iHeart, Parcast and Noiser, and Goldfinch and Stackanoff. And those last 2 were reported in Deadline. In People News, Seb Rennie has been hired as executive head for Listener Commercial. He'll drive the commercial strategy for the Australian radio and podcast app. The producer and co-host of Ear Hustle, Rasan New York Thomas, has been released from prison. And Matt Medeiros started a new role this week as WordPress community evangelist for Gravity Forms. He had been with Castos. This podcast is sponsored by CBC Podcasts. The Africas versus America is a new podcast from them. It chronicles Black liberation organization MOVE and how Philadelphia came to drop a bomb on its own citizens. The Africas versus America is available wherever you get your podcasts. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.